In this video, I'm going to share exactly what you need to do to attract a specific person into your life in 2021. It's a very simple process to follow, and we are almost in, if you can believe it, 2021. So this is exactly what to do if you have a certain somebody that you would like to attract into your life, whether it's a husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, business partner, customers, clients. You've always wanted to be mentored by this person. You've always wanted the opportunity to have more clients, customers, sales. You can attract the perfect person that is exactly what you need for your business or your romance or your personal life. And I'm going to share exactly how to do that in 2021. This is Jake Ducey with JakeDucey.com. If you're excited for 2021, make sure you hit the like button right over there on this side, right over there on this side, and let me know in the comments down below if you're excited for 2021. Now, I'm just going to share with you my personal view on being able to do this many times, attracting the perfect person into my life, or in a lot of instances, the exact person that I was looking for. And it's happened many times. So I want to share with you, instead of going into a million stories about it, if you want to hear more stories about my success stories attracting specific people into my life, you could let me know in the comments right there down below, and maybe I'll do it in another video. But I want to break down the way I look at it and my technique to do it, which is at the core, and it's the same with anything in my life. I truly believe what we're now learning from new science, and I believe it in every fiber of my being, that everything is energy, and that there's this thing called quantum physics, and it says that the observer effect is real, that the subatomic particles of physical atoms, physical matter, is really both invisible and visible. And that sounds crazy, but that's what the observer effect tells us. It tells us that subatomic particles can be both particles or waves. Waves means essentially energy that's outside of this dimension. It's like it's suspended in the invisible ether. And this sounds more like fairy tale land or wishful thinking or new age unproven science, but this is actually quantum physics. That's what the observer effect, if you Google observer effect, it's what the observer effect is actually telling us, that the consciousness of the scientists observing these subatomic particles would make them sometimes appear and sometimes disappear. Sometimes, in technical terms, sometimes be waves, which is synonymous with energy, invisible energy. So it could be a wave or it could be a particle. Now, what is everything made up of? It's made up of these tiny little subatomic particles. Really, the subatomic particles are 95% empty space, because an atom is 95% empty space. So, what that means is that every single thing in the physical world follows the same principle. So what are you? You are literally a bunch of those tiny little subatomic particles, or those tiny little pieces of consciousness that, based off of subjective perception, sometimes make them appear as particles and sometimes make them disappear as waves in the invisible energy field. So we're all following this same principle of the observer effect in quantum physics, and that includes your fundamental reality. Everything in it, not just attracting certain people. Your bank account follows the same principles. Your love life follows the same principles. Your emotional well-being and your happiness in life follow these same principles. All of it does. But as it pertains to an individual, when I look at it that way, I understand that if I want to attract a certain person into my life, the possibility is already real, because every circumstance I could create in my life follows the same observer effect. So I don't go into it thinking, oh, I'll try this silly thing about the power of my mind to attract customers or clients or friendships or romance into my life, but I don't really believe it. It sounds like wishful thinking. This sounds new age. This sounds airy-fairy. There's this random hippie guy with long hair that's talking and he sounds silly and ridiculous. Like, I don't do that. And the reason that I don't do that is because if you understand the observer effect, you're already collapsing that probability of limitation for yourself. You're already collapsing the possibility that the power of your mind might be able to bring you new customers. You're already blocking out the possibility that they might be able to bring into your life, that your consciousness alone, your perception alone, might be able to bring into your life your ideal romantic relationship, even though it hasn't happened yet, and it hasn't happened for a really long time, and it's been frustrating, rather. Your consciousness has the ability to change your life instantly at any second. And that's why it says in all the ancient text and all the spiritual texts and all the religious texts around the world, it all says the same thing, which is basically that your belief creates reality. That you could say to the mountains, move and they shall, but you have to actually believe in what you're asking for. And the reason that this is so important is because your belief is at its core a certain vibrational level of consciousness. And the observer effect tells us that whatever your certain vibrational level of consciousness is, that determines ultimately the reality that mirrors back to you. So if you don't actually believe that you can attract more customers into your life, if you actually don't believe that you can attract your ideal romantic relationship into your life, if you actually believe deep down that there's no good guys and there's no right women left and you're too old or you're too young, or you believe that you're somehow unworthy because of your past, your frequency level of your consciousness is right here. But what you want is way up here. So there's a huge incongruence. There's a huge gap in the two levels of frequency, in the two different vibrational levels. And we know that every single thing is energy. So your consciousness has to be up here. And so what I tell myself is to suspend my disbelief. And by all means, my disbelief does still come up sometimes, because you'll think about things, and especially when I started doing thought experiments like this, you'll think about how you want to attract something into your life, but you're new to it, to the power of your mind, so you aren't really sure. It's like, is this really possible? And you can feel that like nervousness or that skepticism that still doesn't quite understand the power of consciousness and the power of your own mind. And when I find that, the next thing that I do is I say to myself, suspend my disbelief. Just suspend it. Just for a little while. Just for a little while. Just suspend it. What does that mean? It means to totally eliminate it for a certain period of time. You could have it back later, but suspending your disbelief allows you to come to your own conclusions in life. Not conclusions that I tell you, not conclusions that your old habitual subconscious mind tells you, not conclusions that your mom or your dad or society has told you. Conclusions that you've come to on your own because you've been able to suspend your disbelief. You've been able to suspend your own ideas about reality to be able to objectively question if those ideas are even true anyways, or if they're just illusions, if they're just limitations. So when you suspend it, what you're doing is you're stepping outside of essentially your own mind, your own patterned subconscious personality. The personality in this instance, we're talking about the collections or the sum of beliefs that we have about ourselves and about reality. It's the agreements that we've made with reality, oftentimes subconsciously. Agreements such as how much money is possible for you to make, what level of relationship romantically is really available for you, how smart you are, and what you're good with numbers or bad with numbers, and the et cetera, right? And it's our overall actual fundamental agreement or belief that we have about ourselves and what's possible in our lives. But if you take it all the way back to the beginning about the observer effect, what is this telling us? The observer effect is saying that the actual fundamental atomic building blocks of reality, subatomic particles, sometimes are waves and sometimes are particles. They're sometimes invisible energy and they're sometimes visible. They're sometimes real and they're sometimes unreal. They're sometimes perceivable by the senses and they're sometimes nonsense. They can be both nonsense and sensical based off of the consciousness that's observing it. So really, when you think about what it is that you want and you want to attract a certain person into your life, when your mind tries to tell you this is all nonsense, you can't attract a certain person into your life, it's actually true. And that means you're on the right track, because nonsense means it's greater than the perception of your senses in your current reality, in your agreement that you've made with reality. That agreement that you've made with reality, such as how many digits are in your bank account, what your love life's like, what your overall happiness is like, and the direction of your success in life, what it's like, you can actually totally write a new agreement with your own self and with your own reality. So when you suspend your disbelief, what you're doing is you're inviting in bigger possibilities. And so what I invite you to do is, instead of getting so rigid on needing to do this exact technique, this exact way, instead of getting so rigid on it, meditate on the truth that energy is infinite and energy can never be created or destroyed. And if energy is infinite and it can never be created or destroyed, what does that mean? It means that the possibility of you attracting a certain person into your life already exists. In the invisible quantum field, in the wave state, those subatomic particles that are the entirety of reality of what you want, the person you want to attract, the situation, type, or thing, it already exists as a wave. It's not a particle yet, because it's a wave. It's nonsense still. It's beyond the senses, but it does exist, because energy is never created or destroyed. So all the possibilities that ever were and ever could be already exist simultaneously. And what determines our reality is the agreement that we've made with it for so long. So then it's like, wow, is anything possible? And that's kind of been the journey that I've been on since freshman year of college, when I was a 19-year-old and I started learning all this stuff, was what's really possible. And I started doing thought experiments. I would suspend my disbelief and I'd be like, what's really capable? Like, what could I really accomplish, achieve, manifest, experience, feel in my life? What's really possible? And when I finally stepped outside of my box and I decided to suspend my disbelief and do my own thought experiments to build my own truth about what consciousness is and what consciousness is capable of doing, the results were just amazing from the beginning. Like, my first one was a freshman in college, and I wanted to drop out and eventually become a writer, and then that turned into publishing books with the world's #1 publisher, Penguin Random House, in my early 20s. And it's like, well, then everything that you could want, new customers, new clients, new dating. Maybe you don't even want a serious relationship, but you just want some new fun romance. And you want to go on dates again and meet some interesting, cool people again. Fixate your consciousness on the certain people or types of people or energy of the types of people that you would like to attract into your life. The title of this video says, do this to attract a specific person. But what I want you to understand is that it's even greater than anything you can conceive of in your own mind. Because our minds are just inherently limiting. But there's this overarching essence of who you are, this universal, infinite, all-powerful, all-knowing energy of which you are a part of that transcends birth and death. That part is capable of anything. Literally anything. And when you step into that, you may end up attracting someone that's different than the person that you thought, but it's 100 times better than your mind could have conceived of. That's why I always ended off with, if not this, then something better. So when I'm thinking about the type of person or individual that I want to attract in my life, I'm always like, it's this or something better. And it's kind of the silent prayer that I end off my little visualization about this with. I ended off with this overarching acceptance or gratitude to the universe that I trust. If not this, then something better. If not this person, then something better. If not this, then something better. If not that, then something better. And that's exactly what happened with my wife. I really wanted, before I met my wife, I really liked this woman, and I really wanted to be with her, and I spent a long time courting her, and I thought she was the one, and I really liked her. She ended up dating, eventually going off with another guy. And so I was really depressed for a while. And because I was so fixated on this one person, it had to be this woman, it had to be her. And out of my own heartbreak, I realized I was manifesting specific people the wrong way. I was manifesting wanting like a deep life partnership romance with someone. I was manifesting it the wrong way because I was so fixated on one person. Love is limitless. Love is kind. Love is infinite. Love is all-knowing. Love can break all circumstances and challenges, and love is perfect. And I realized I didn't have that same perception. I was trying to be rigid, and I was trying to put boxes on love, on the energy, the infinite potential of love. And that's why I attracted ultimately a negative relationship that didn't end well, is because it had to help me gain a greater understanding. And I shifted my desire to, if not this, then something better. It's supposed to be better than this individual. And if it's nobody and I'm supposed to be single, that's fine too. And when I finally got to that place of, if not this, then something better, instead of trying to force it on this one person that I need to date, and I just met this woman and it needs to be her, and like, I'm going to be so bummed if it's not her, and hopefully, it works out with her. It needs to be her. When I dropped out of that was when I unexpectedly met Ashley, and Ashley was, to me, more perfect than I could have ever imagined possible, just to say the least. More perfect than I ever could have imagined possible. An infinite degree better for me than any other person I'd ever dated or would have wanted to date back in the day. Ashley's a million times better. And that's the magic of the universe, when the universe brings certain people that are meant to be in your life, either in romance, friendship, business relationships, mentorship, whatever. When the universe brings certain people into your life, it ultimately brings the perfect people for you. And when you invite this energy that's greater than yourself, when you invite it to manifest itself into your life, sometimes it gives you even better things than you originally could even think of. And that's the exciting thing about life. And that's the exciting thing about doing thought experiments, where you say, can I attract a certain type of person in? Can I attract this person in? Can I attract this thing into my life? And when you do this and you meditate upon it, and you actually start mentally rehearsing it in your mind, and you rehearse having that experience happening and feeling grateful for that experience happening, you start to change your brain. Neuroplasticity starts to take over. And when that happens, eventually your consciousness starts to shift your outside world. And when that happens, you may just find yourself saying, holy crap, the universe is so magical, it's insane. You may just find yourself attracting the exact person you were thinking about. You may find yourself not attracting the exact person that you were thinking about. Maybe it's going to be someone even better. So this is Jake Ducey with JakeDucey.com, and I invite you to suspend your disbelief. I invite you to do a thought experiment, and I invite you into this perception of possibility, this perception of maybe trying on the idea of viewing yourself as a divine infinite being and that your consciousness fundamentally creates reality. Just instead of taking my word for it, I invite you to suspend your disbelief and do a simple thought experiment on the types of people that you would like to attract into your life. Can't wait to hear about your results. Make sure you hit the like button on this side right over there and this side right over there. The like button is what sends this out into more people. So make sure you hit the like button on that side and that side. Leave a comment down below and let me know what you think about this video, and let me know if you have any success with these results. Have a great day, and remember, your mind is more powerful than you could ever imagine.